So hello and welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be talking about basically the 2020 election. If there was a third-party surge, which basically would have President Trump and Joe Biden on the same playing field as Libertarian candidate Joe Jorgeson, Green Party candidate Howie Hawkins, and Independent candidate Mitt Romney. So what we're going to be doing is we are going to look at exactly how well they would do in each state, especially if they were to be polling on a level playing field. So for states for Biden, I think Biden would win it by a lean margin, especially with Howie Hawkins and how they're going to perform in that state. For the state of Oregon, I think this could definitely be a close call, but I would give it to Howie Hawkins in a very tilt margin. A lot of these states are going to be, I don't think there's really going to be any safe states, as a lot of states are just going to be divided so much. The state of Washington, I think, could go to Hawkins by a lean margin. The state of Idaho, I think, could go to Trump by a likely margin. The state of Montana, I think, could go to Joe Jorgeson by a lean margin, along with the state of South Dakota as a tilt. I think Trump could win the state of North Dakota by a lean margin. Romney would definitely win some state of Utah by a safe margin. What else? I think Biden would win Nevada extremely narrowly. The state of Arizona. This is definitely going to be a very close call to make, but I actually think it's going to go to Trump due to all the vote splitting by a lean margin. The state of New Mexico, what's his name? Well, the former Libertarian candidate, Gary Johnson, when he ran last time, he polled pretty well. And in his Senate election, he did not win, but he again helped raise up the margins. And in a scenario where I think third-party candidates would be doing pretty well, I think it would go to Joe Jorgeson by a lean margin. The state of Colorado, I think that it could actually go to Mitt Romney by a tilt margin. And I think the state of Wyoming would go to Trump by a safe margin, actually. I know, it looks, so far the map looks kind of crazy, but this is generally how I think things would go. In the state of Nebraska, I think it would go primarily for Trump. Nebraska's 2nd district, though, I think it would go for Biden by a likely margin due to all the vote splitting. In addition to that, I think that their 3rd district would go to Mitt Romney by a lean margin. The state of Kansas, I also think would go to Mitt Romney by a lean margin. Oklahoma would go to Trump by a likely margin. The state of Texas, that's a really close state to call. I would actually give it to Trump, though, by a lean margin, along with the state of Louisiana by likely. Arkansas, I can see Joe Jorgeson winning Arkansas by a lean. The state of Mississippi, I actually see Joe Biden winning it by a tilt margin. The state of Alabama, I think would go to Trump by a lean margin. Again, this map looks extremely confusing, and it generally is, but just bear with me. What else? Missouri, the state of Missouri, I think would definitely appeal to Trump voters. So I'm going to put that in a tilt margin. The state of Iowa, I think that would be a lean margin for Trump, as he is expected to take that state already. The state of Minnesota, Again, I think it would go to Biden by a likely margin. The state of Wisconsin. See, that's a very difficult state to call. I'm going to give it to Biden, though, by a tilt margin. Illinois. Actually, I'm going to make it safe for Biden. I generally don't think that it's going to pose a significant problem for him. The state of Michigan. I think that it might go to Jorgeson by a tilt margin, just generally because of the fact that they do have Justin Amash there, and he could definitely help bring up the numbers in his district and across the whole state. The state of Ohio, I could see that going to Mitt Romney by a likely margin due to John Kasich being in that state, and him and John Kasich generally having the same political ideology. In the state of Indiana, I can also see that state going to Romney by a small margin. The state of Kentucky, again, a very weird state to call. I'm going to give that a likely margin, though, along with the state of Tennessee to Trump. The state of West Virginia, I'm actually going to give this to the Green Party candidate by a lean margin, which may seem weird as West Virginia normally likes more conservative candidates, but I think that Howie Hawkins would have a bigger appeal to the coal miners, especially with his green energy initiatives, which could help flip the state. The state of Florida going down, I think that would go to Joe Biden by a likely margin, along with the state of Georgia. South Carolina would be a tilt, and North Carolina would be lean as well. The state of Virginia, again, very, very difficult to predict. I'm actually going to give it to Trump, though, which a lot of people might yell at me for, but through a tilt margin. But generally, I think that the Democrats in Virginia have really ignored the bottom of the state, and they're really focusing on the suburbs around D.C. And with the vote being split so much around there, I think that the Republicans would generally stay Republican in the southern part of the state and would allow for Virginia to stay in the Trump column. In the state of Maryland, again, a very progressive state, which is why I'm going to give it to Howie Hawkins by a likely margin. The state of Pennsylvania, Joe Biden's half-home state, I'm going to give it to him by a likely margin, and Delaware is going to go to him by a solid margin. In the state of New Jersey, I'm going to give that one as a likely for Biden, along with the state of New York as also likely. The state of Vermont, I'm going to do that one solid for Howie Hawkins. The state of New Hampshire, again, a very difficult thing in order to predict. However, I think that Romney would really eat out Biden's vote along with Jorgeson's and Hawkins, which really would just detriment Biden. So I think that Trump would win it by a lean margin. Maine, I generally think that their second district would go to Jorgeson due to the fact that they are more Republican up there. However, for the rest of the state, I could see Biden winning it, but not so much. So, the state of Massachusetts. This is again going to be a very difficult state to predict. However, even though this is Mitt Romney's almost home state, I am going to have that as a tilt margin for Joe Biden. The state of Connecticut, again, a very difficult state to predict. I'm going to give that one as a lean, along with the state of Rhode Island. The state of Alaska, I could see that going for Mitt Romney by a safe margin. The state of Hawaii, I could see that one going to Howie Hawkins in a lean margin. So this is generally going to be the electoral map. No one has reached 270 electoral votes. Biden is 2 electoral votes away, and especially if it comes down to each state individually voting, I believe that Biden would win, as Trump, Jorgeson, and Romney would not be enough to overtake Biden, and Biden and Howie Hawkins, with their similar ideology, I think that they would be able to win in this scenario. So, yeah. If you agree with me, let me know in the comments. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comments below. Well, thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe, and come back tomorrow for another video. Thanks.